Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Podcast. Today, I really would like to share with you some of the events that occurred on a very eventful, frightening day in which I'm not quite sure 100% as to what fully, logically, scientifically occurred that day. So, in this video, unfortunately, I haven't come to a conclusion or solved the mystery, but I thought it may be educational or maybe an eye-opener for somebody who is just opening up their world to the possibility of multidimensionality. So, to begin with, that's pretty much the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. My intention in doing this is to really talk about those uncomfortable things that make our logical mind, just baffle itself. A lot of times we don't have answers, right, to the mysteries, these conundrums of the supernatural world. We kind of have to sit with these experiences, these events, and sort of psychologically sift through some of the ideas and the revelations that we may have. So, to get back on track with the story, disclaimer, I was not drunk or high. This story takes place on a hike in which, in this time period, I was a very avid hiker. Living in this magical place called Sedona, you really do have no choice but to really feel the land. And I would wake up on a daily basis and almost have visions of the canyons that I was to explore that day. And so I was living this adventure. My lifestyle had become this almost daily adventure of exploring ruins and vast canyons and just beautiful lands. And Secret Canyon came up as one of those visions. Secret Canyon has a reputation. There is something about it that a lot of people just can't really put their finger on it. Some people say it's like, just straight up extraterrestrial. Some other people say it's government intervention. Men in black have been seen there. There's just a lot of speculation as to what's going on with this particular place, right? And so it's not really a secret. And I feel like that's why I've kind of waited to put this video out, because I was like, you know what? It's kind of a secret, I mean, it's called Secret Canyon, right? But really, I did feel this really big push. Not only is the land pushing me to put this information out, but it's also just really healing for me to share with other people, like what I've been through. I mean, it's not really easy to open up like this, but it is, like I said, it's very healing. So, yeah, so basically, what I'm feeling needs to be conveyed here is that Mother Earth consists of energy fields, and they are pulsing waves of energy through her lines. And there are different places in the earth where there are fissures and cracks and fault lines where these ley lines can get basically skewed. I believe this may be a correlation to what's going on in places like Sedona, where there's like an amplification of that electromagnetic energy. And I, as a researcher, a seeker, over the years, just learning, geomantic practices, learning how to really read the earth, the ley lines, and seeing what that energy is doing and how it affects us. I will tell you that Secret Canyon was the biggest master course that I took in that type of research. The story sets out on just a beautiful day. Like, it's just sunny. I know we have all day long. It's me and just Opie. Minnie hadn't come along yet. I'm having this vision to go to Secret Canyon, and I decide, okay, It's time to go. I've heard some weird rumors about it, but you know what? I want to see it. I actually had a little rinky-dink car, so I couldn't get to the actual trailhead. I had to start at a very distant road on the other side of this mountain. Yeah, it basically took me even just 5 or 6 miles just to get to the trailhead. So me and Opie, we have our packs on. He's packing water as well. We're just ready to like spend the day out there, and I'm at this point very experienced, and I had this kind of nervous feeling because I knew that I was gonna go like 20 miles into a canyon alone, and I just knew that I had to do this. And it's been something that I don't regret, but it's something that just like blasted me for a very long time. We get to the mouth of the canyon, and I'm already noticing that something's different here. Like, this is a very sacred, like, to the max sacred place. It's to the point where you know that it's being spiritually guarded. You can feel the presence of the rocks, and it's almost like the rocks begin to take face, literally like going through those intense pillars of truth and light, and this high vibrational consciousness that was just awake and observant to my every move, my every thought. I began to have a download. I feel like I'm being stripped subconsciously, spiritually, psychically, mentally, emotionally down into my purity, my essence. And I'm being asked to become vulnerable and open up and awaken. And at this point, I'm kind of like away from my experience of just being like Danielle on a hike with my dog. I'm feeling like I'm in another dimension, completely on another planet. So we continue to just walk the trail, and we're in the canyon by now, and there's no one around. It's just, we're like miles deep in, and it's like, okay, every step, just being very conscious, and I'm feeling an inducement. A very heavy trance begins to come on to me, and I sense that I'm very deep in meditation. It's almost every thought becomes like a just a form, and time begins to become still, and everything has a very significant purpose. Everything's being observed and watched, and I'm just sensing this. So for those of you who've had similar experiences, you know that you're basically opening up to higher self. You're becoming more aware of your multidimensionality. Now, I feel that the land itself helped induce me into this state in a way that, like I said, I was nervous walking in. That's because my energies, I was almost being erupted through all the different electromagnetic energies moving through my body. I was being pulsed through the land. So I became lighter in matter and higher in consciousness and frequency by tapping into the actual depth sacredness of this land. So very, very intense feeling. For those of you who have ever experienced sleep paralysis, the next phase of the event sort of went into something similar. So the inducement into this really expanded awareness. I'm seeing the sun, I'm seeing the canyon, the red rocks, we're walking this trail. I'm completely open. It was an openness to my beingness. And in that moment, I almost felt like something came and made it impossible for me to move out of that space. I had to sit in stillness, in timelessness, and observe presence and observe the experience of life itself. And I, I felt like it went on for eternity, and it still rocks my life and my experience here and now today. So, what happened to me? Now, I've had speculations, well, maybe I was abducted. That paralysis of not being able to move out of it was frightening. And by the way, in that moment of time, timelessness really, I was seeing visions. I was observing things like the Milky Way. I was seeing other scapes on other planets. It's almost like I zoned out of reality itself, and I was able to see more of our galaxy. So, what is all this? Is this just okay, Danielle, you just took a trip, you freaked yourself out? Or is this something where the land, sacred places, holy lands can actually alter our consciousness? What's going on in these magical places? And we don't know fully how it affects us. So I wanted to share that with you today and to let you know that it is just so miraculous to be a human being. We have so much potential. We can do so much with our experience because not only do we have our minds and our bodies, we have the earth to work with. She's just like us. She has all this wiring and she's adapted, and she knows us on such a molecular deep level. Going to her hot spots, her divine holy lands, is a rite of passage. And things like what happened to me in Secret Canyon, they do allow us entryways and gateways to other worlds, and we become more of who we are. I feel deeply that there are just places on this earth that can really affect human beings.